crying up a storm. Meow, meow, meow. Wants to come in, but he's not allowed to come in, but he thinks he is. Dumb cat. Just kidding, he's a great cat. I mean, it looks a little fuzzy. Let me wipe off this lens a little bit. That's a little better. All right. So, I got this little gimbal thingy now. Hopefully, it helps my video quality some. I don't know if it will or not, but I'm hopeful. Especially when I flip the camera around and start showing pictures of the cars and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, so doors not installed yet. We put new doors in. They're in the garage and the shop are now being painted. Teresa made a boo-boo on one of them, and she's not happy about it. So she has to like sand it, repaint it, and everything. But right now the guest room has no door. Super small. So, anyways, I started the Discord server, right? And I have I think like 80 something people now have joined the server, but it's frequented mostly by about 10 people or so. And it's cool because I got a handful of people that have a lot of experience, and then a handful of people that have not very much at all. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see that everybody, can help each other, and then there's also like discussions about physics and audio stuff. The guys had a home stereo discussion that was going on, and I started a bunch of channels for the miscellaneous stuff, engine building, tuning, and all of that. So there's a lot of discussions of that kind of stuff in the Discord, and that's been really cool. But one of the things that popped up, which is why I'm making this video, was I'm doing door there too. So you do a new door there. Yeah, backstations too, I suppose, right? So, yep, some thermodynamics, everything. Really, we've been doing a lot of talks on everything. Right now, the main topic, I was going to do weekly lessons, but because I'm so stretched thin, I decided I'm going to do it as modules. And so the first thing we've been talking about is AVCS. And there's been some discussion about that, as well as links to videos people are putting up, my videos, other people's videos, HP Academy's videos, and then other resources out of like John B. Haywood's book. If you don't know what that is, Internal Combustion Engine Fundamentals. There's a second edition that came out just recently, which is good. The first edition was quite old, but the second edition is more modernized, and it's got a way better flow. It's got a much better flow to it, and so I really like it. And I like it so much, I think I'm going to organize the modules on the site in kind of the order that Haywood's book is laid out. Not exactly the same, but I think I'm going to try and follow a similar schedule as he has, or a format, I should say. So, anyways, one of the things that came up was somebody was posting up some video, or a dynograph in a thread from people making 450 wheel horsepower on a stock FA20 with a stock FA20 turbo. No. It just doesn't fucking work that way. So one thing I tell people a lot is I mentioned that a car that I had a large part in building and doing the tuning, did the tuning and the water injection and some of the cooling stuff and a bunch of designing the bottom end, a bunch that I was involved in, holds the Pikes Peak record right now for all-wheel drive Subarus. I gotta specify all-wheel drive Subarus because there's been some BRZ, well, technically we're told they're Scions, that have beat our record, but that's a two-wheel drive, tiny little fucking car. Okay, fine. But all-wheel drive Subarus, no one's come within 40 seconds of our time, and it was first time out, and we did it with a Dom 1.5, a tiny little turbo. And so I tell people that not as a point of brag, but as a point of proof. And what I'm trying to say, so it wasn't really water injection into the, well, there was a little bit going in the engine, but really it was actually for the radiator and the intercooler, because as you get high in elevation, the air gets thin and heat transfer doesn't work as well. I think that's where a lot of guys fail with their Subarus when they get halfway or three-quarters way up. They fail out because they're on a dyno tune for one, and you shouldn't race a dyno tune. And then they just hit the mountain not realizing that the air is not going to be as cold. You're not going to pull the heat out of your intake charge. So, again, I do it as a point of proof because we did it on a Dom 1.5. And I see, it's this Junior, right? Junior tuned. He's he is a hell of a driver, and he's got cars that run 12s on a stock VF. And then there are guys that have GTX 30Rs and shit that are also running 12s, right? Now, often those GTX guys have higher horsepower numbers, of course, than the VF Turbo, of course. That's what you totally expect that, right? But they're not turning the times up. And there's two reasons for that. One of them is driver. Driver is fucking very much to do with, hey, Eric, Dewey's here. Shit, everyone hide. No, driver is, a lot to do with it. Car setup is extremely important. Yeah, I think maybe Junior did 11s, 11 high 11s on the VF. That's probably what it was. I'm probably confused. But regardless, the point is that guys will get a car that runs on the stock engine and do a very good time, and other guys will have a huge turbo and built everything and not do a very good time. And my point was saying that, yeah, we did Pikes Peak, set the record with the Dom 1.5 in a top mount intercooler in a Dom 1.5. So it can be done. But was it because the car made more power? No, it wasn't. Obviously, it didn't make more power than the other cars, but it did better, right? And the plain fact of the matter is there's no fucking secret recipe for horsepower. Okay? There's no secret recipe. There's no special sauce that someone puts on it to fucking make more horsepower. There are only so many BTUs available in a gram of fuel. There's only so much air you can pack into a motor. There's only so much there. Plain and simple. Now, yes, you can alter cam timing a little bit. You can, change the AFRs a little bit. But we all have to operate in the same fucking range, right? Like, one tuner can't magically put 25 degrees of timing on the engine at 25 pounds on boost and be like, oh yeah, I'm a better tuner. Like, for one, that engine wouldn't survive. But the point is that there's no magic sauce. So when you see somebody with a dyno graph that says 452 wheel horsepower and ethanol on the stock FA or the stock turbo, it's bullshit. Plain bullshit. Either the tuner's a fucking liar or he's ignorant, okay? He's ignorant of the fact that his dyno reads ridiculously high, and those numbers are no fucking way possible. The laws of physics do not account for this, right? It's not fucking possible. Or he's a fucking liar. And I'd rather not think that they're a liar, but a Mustang dyno, 4 mouse clicks. 4 mouse clicks, you can turn a Mustang into a Moonstang. That's all it takes. 4 fucking mouse clicks. Okay? And in fact, it literally, you go at the top window, click on that, click on one sub menu, go to the value, punch in the value for the calibration, and hit OK. And boom, your Mustang reads higher than a dyno jet. There's no secret maintenance mode you got to go into. There's nothing that's difficult to find. It's right there in the fucking front. Okay, 4 mouse clicks, Mustang to Moonstang. So first off, just like voting machines, only easier. I'm not answering that question because that's not what this is about. So the point is that that's fucking bullshit. And I am more than willing to prove it to you and put my money where my mouth is. If you have one of those cars that you fucking think somehow with a stock turbo and your tuner told you made 450 wheel in ethanol, bring it to me. I will run it on my dyno for free. I will let you take a log. I will let you video it. And then if you get within 10% of their claimed horsepower, I will give you $100. If you get within 15%, I will give you $50. If it's anything but that, it's free, and I'm calling your tuner out. But if you do somehow hit your magical 450 wheel or whatever fucking value it supposedly is, I'll make a video saying that tuner is a fucking magician and everyone should take their car to him. Because it's not fucking possible. I'll let you drive the car. I'll let you take the log. The only thing I have to say is that if you somehow do that, we're taking off your turbo inlet, and I'm looking at that fucking compressor wheel, and I'm making sure it's a stock compressor wheel, and then stock turbo. Outside of that, well, obviously if you have nitrous, then there's an issue too. But stock turbo, ethanol, whatever. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Because it can't happen. And I think that's where a lot of the issue fucking comes from, is that for some reason, some tuners, there's another one too on the West Coast, and I'm really, really disturbed by this trend. He posts up every couple months a new dyno graph showing more horsepower than last time he tuned the car. I found some more power. Oh, where was it hiding? In the glove box? The fuck? Like, you don't find more power suddenly in a car. There's no fucking secret recipe, man. There's no fucking secret recipe. The cam timing. Was the cam timing adjustable before? And it is now? It is? Okay. You didn't find it there. Maybe you tuned it poorly before. But when that number starts to exceed other tuner stuff by 25, 50%, it's bullshit. It's a fucking lie. Plain and simple. The dude ain't finding more horsepower. What, he added more timing to it? One day it liked it, one day it didn't? No. He found a magical AFR? No. Because the first time he tuned it, you fucking know he went through and said, huh, lean is mean, let's try that. Nope, didn't like that. Too much knock. Let's add some fuel to it. How much can we add for it not to knock, but keep it lean and keep it strong? This much. All right, maybe want some more timing. Nope, didn't want that. Let's take it back out again. Right? Like, there's a fucking procedure, and these guys are going to go through it. Let's add some cam timing to it. Hey, look at that. Torque went up. That's pretty good. Now I'm talking the same tuner. The same tuners. They do all the time. There's a couple tuners around the country do the fucking same thing. I found more power. I found power. And every time it's fucking 15 to 20 more horsepower than was already freaking unbelievable before. Like, it just was hiding somewhere in the car. Yeah, I torqued down that alternator. Pff, power came up. Oh, you cut the belt off maybe? Power come up then. So anyways, I'm straight out. I'm laying it down. Bring me your magical car. Bring me your fucking unicorn. We'll run it on my dyno. You take the fucking log. You can inspect the straps. We'll do a whole fucking production. And I will prove to you that that tuner is full of shit. Plain and simple. Full of shit. It can't happen. You can't take a turbo that flows 30 pounds per minute and then somehow make 450 wheel out of it. Just can't. You would have to have a transmission delete. And then bolt the engine directly to the dyno, and then give crankshaft horsepower numbers. Like, it can't fucking happen. Even then, you couldn't do it. Like, a 30-pound per minute turbo is capable of like 350 on a good day at the crankshaft. Like, there's only so much air available. There's only so much energy available. There's only so many molecules of oxygen available. A lot of them are great too. I see a lot of them where the guy says, check out this big dyno graph, look how big it is. And you see in the corner, CF 1.2. Motherfucker, it's already a dyno jet, and you're adding 20% to it, so it's 40% high, right? A dyno jet already reads 15 to 20% higher than what is in reality. So then they got a correction factor of 1.2. Like, motherfucker, what are you thinking? Like, no, it's fucking not possible. See that shit all the time. So look at those dyno graphs. Some post a dyno graph. Look in the corner. CF. See what that number says. 1.0, 1.05. Probably pretty legitimate. 1.2? Crock of shit. If it's a dyno dynamics and it has a 1.2, then it's almost up to a dyno jet at a 1.0. It's crazy. So I mean it when I say it. If you got that magic car, bring it. If you're within 10%, I'll give you $100. 15%, I'll give you 50. And if you're below that, I'll just do it for free. But I don't know how else to do it. Like, I could go through the math, but everybody would fall asleep. Nobody would give a shit. Yeah, I have a sticker machine, Aaron, so I could technically put stickers on the car and really free up that horsepower that's hidden in the paint or something. And then donos. I don't know if I can turn donos on or not. I haven't tried. That wasn't really my plan. I do the subscription service. Whoopsie. Hey, the left and right works. I do the subscription service on the Discord channel so that people can, if they want to donate, they can donate, but then they also get something for it. They get to have time on the channel in the education section, which I said right now is very infant. I only got a couple sections right now and stuff, but I'm adding stuff to it every couple days. And eventually it's going to be a big resource that guys can go and learn and answer. Yeah. So so Eric just posted. I'm trying to get my chat back. A freak FA stock turbo on on a dyno jet does 380. Yeah, and I believe that was a freak car, but I believe on a dyno jet that's possible. But that would be a freak car on a dyno jet, absolutely. We had a bigger turbo at Turn In Concepts. Block modified turbo, put a bigger crest wheel in it, and it did 360 on ethanol, running it hard, with enough timing and everything to bend the rods and all that. And that was 360, and that thing ripped. The first time out with that car, I think I ran a 12.0 or something with it, out there in Cincinnati, and we didn't have the throttle position, delta compensation yet figured out. So Cody's right. Yeah, he says next week, bunch of cars be at the shop trying to get that hundo, and not a single one will be close. I know, and I mean, if I thought people would take it, I'd say if you're 20% off, you got to pay me, but then no way would ever show up. So there's just no point. I was doing it for free. My wife was about to come in the door here, so let's probably turn this away from her. Oh, wrong way. So she's not. Oh my god. Yeah, she pulled in the driveway. Let's say. So yeah, I did like a 12.1 or something in the car. First time I ever drove it. But the throttle delta correction, where if you advance the throttle past a certain threshold during the shift, the factory ECU pulls timing to try and keep the gears together. Cobb found that. It set like negative 10 degrees on a shift, which on an FA is ridiculous because on an FA, negative 10 degrees basically just turns the engine off, right? So, considering the FA usually has a peak timing or a timing at peak boost of like negative 1.5, so 1.5 degrees after top dead center on pump gas is not uncommon on those things. With ethanol, you can get up to like maybe 5 or so to be safe, and beyond that, you're just not that safe. But anyways, so it's set at negative 10, so it pulls 10 degrees of timing out when you shift really fast, and that would cause the car to buck and bog every gear shift on the race, and still manage to pull a 12 or 12.1 out of it. So I would think that if we had had access to that and changed that, would have done an even better time on it. Now, that being said, one time in my RS, I had a 35R on it on ethanol, and I ran an 11.8, which is not very good. And I was racing the shit off that thing as best as I could, and I could not get the thing to fucking get down the track any faster than 11.8. Why? Well, one, my dyno read a little high. Two, my timing was too conservative. And three, I couldn't launch the thing for shit. Tires are skinny on an RS. You can't get a lot of rubber into there, and the thing would just burn out and that kind of stuff. The cable shifter on the WRX, the FA, is garbage. But that wasn't an issue. That was strictly that I could get it in gear pretty fast. And it was just that buck that has the you see it in the video. The car would launch, and then you go grab second, and just and then go, and then like at a blow off valve on a MAF control car or something. But anyways, yeah. So 35R ethanol, 6-speed, etc. I can do better than 11.8, and I was almost there with a stock FA turbo. Well, that was largely car setup and also driver. Now with the same setup, I did a 10.7, on the same car. So similar setup, almost the same. But so almost a full second. It's a good gain, I would say. So doing some driver and some car setup makes a big difference. So you can't always go by the quarter mile an hour. You got to use like the track speeds. Like my 10.7 was at 137 miles an hour, which is a smoking trap for a 10.7. That's like low 10s. I've seen cars at 9s, do it 137 in the quarter. So those numbers, you when you get something like that, you realize that there's an issue with car setup or driver. And in my case, the car was burning all 4 tires through almost all of first gear. Spent most of the time on the rev limiter burning out. I couldn't get to hook, unprepped track. So, anyways, point is, car set makes a big difference. You can't always go a quarter mile, but obviously, if the car does really fast in the quarter mile, it's got some power to support it. But that 450 wheel horsepower FA on ethanol is not turning a 450 wheel horsepower time at the track. There's just no fucking way. Unless maybe he's got like a aircraft carrier catapult system at the launch. That'd be kind of cool. If I get enough vinegar bottles and baking soda and shake them up and put them on the back of the car and pop all the tops at the same time? Can I get a little boost out of there? I don't know. Fuck. Anyways, so that's my call out. That's the main reason for that. I want to call out those bullshit freaking horsepower numbers and everything else, and tell them, please bring them. You got to call me though, because I'm not always at the shop, so we got to set it up. But we will definitely do that, and this video is proof. You can hold me to it. I will absolutely do it. Like power than anyone bullshit is they have a reputation of hold and do dumb shit to find extra horsepower. Then the engine shits. Yeah, that is true. So Eric says his issue with these tuners who live by this "I'll make more power than anyone" bullshit is they have a reputation to uphold and do dumb shit to find extra few horsepower, and then the engine takes a crap. And that's absolutely true. You know, they're like, well, yeah, you could take a car off my dyno that I tuned, and you can go to somebody else's dyno and make 20 wheel. Absolutely, it's easy. Add more timing. But you just eliminated every bit of protection and safety margin that was in the car. It's gone now. It's gone. Right? And that's where the tuner thing comes in. Right? A good tuner isn't going to push it to where the point where it fails and that it's no longer safe. It's going to take into account the temperatures, the duty cycle, the way you're going to drive it. You have varying types of fuel that you have in your region. How much elevation changes you have? You live in the Midwest where the elevation doesn't change more than 300 feet for 1,000 miles in any direction? Or do you live over here where you could drive an hour that way and go up down 1,000 or 5,000 feet, right? Like that kind of stuff matters. And you could easily, like I said, take a car off that I tuned that made 320 wheel and take it and add a bunch of timing to it and make 330 wheel. But it's going to fail. Might not be the next day. It could be. Right? It could be the next day. But a lot of the guys just bank on that. I had one tuner, I don't want to call them out on this because they're semi-local, but they told me they tune their customers' cars in between failures. He literally meant they tune it to fail it. He told me. Like I asked him, well, it's kind of aggressive. I think, oh yeah, it's really aggressive. That's what they want. They want to go full out, and when it fails, then we'll build another one. What? I don't think that's what they want. Did you ask them if that's what they want? Because I'm pretty sure that's not what they want, right? They don't want the car to last a week and then fail and then build another motor. I don't know anybody that really wants that, unless they're trying really, really, really hard to break some goal. But the average owner is not trying to break records with his VF turbo. It just isn't the fucking case. But yeah, they tune it in between failures. That's what they said, because that's the conversation we're having. And I was just like, okay, you guys keep doing that. I'm gonna keep my customers on the road as much as possible. And so guys like that and guys like Dewey are talking about, they go for that, oh, well, I got to make 2 more horsepower than the other guy. I got to make this many more. I got to put his car on the dyno, then retune and be like, yeah, that guy sucks as a tuner. Look, I made 20 more wheel. I've had guys do that. Noob tuners go, man, Dominic sucks. I made 20 wheel really easily. I just pulled some fuel and had some timing. Look at that, more power. And that customer had a new engine within a month. And that tuner somehow convinced the customer that it wasn't his fault. He's building him a motor now. And the guy's paying for it. And he's like, oh yeah, it just, you make more power than the engine can handle. That's all it was. No, it wasn't. It was not making more power than the engine can handle. It couldn't handle the detonation that your tuner put into it. I actually had the first engine that I've tuned in a long time fail the other day. A 2020 STI. I think I told this on the stream already. I'm doing it again because I'm calling myself out. And I don't know why it failed. I know that it failed number 4, ringland, like typically happens. The car had an IAT relocate, which I do on all the cars. I've only ever had 2 cars fail with IAT relocates. 2. Since 2012. 2 cars fail with IAT relocates because I can use that to monitor the heat soak on the engine and everything. This guy's car failed. No cooling mod, but that's not necessarily the good enough reason to be like, no cooling mod, your car failed. And the guy had flex fuel, but he was running on pump for a while too. And I looked at the tune, and it's not aggressive. I don't know why it failed, but it did. And it's got the new RA pistons in it, right? Because it's the brand new one. Supposedly has those pistons that are supposedly stronger. I don't know. But the guy drives really, really aggressively, and I must not have taken into account the aggression by which he drives, or potentially he might have been beaten on it when it was cold. And some guys do that; they do beat on them when they're cold, and they're not really made for that. So I don't know which one it was, and I have the ability to reduce wastegate duty cycle at lower coolant temps, and I don't think I did so on his tune. So it could be that that's why it failed, because they don't come reduced from the factory on the STIs. They do on the FAs, especially for intake air temp. They drop a ton with lower intake air temps from the factory. I should just show you guys that instead of talking about it, right? Think about laptop. It's right here. Fire this thing up. Give me 1 second. I wish I could put this camera around. Put you my password this time without showing you my password. So I did that one time on stream. That was really smart. All right. Let's turn this around. And this gimbal's pretty cool, but it makes some things kind of hard. There we go. Alrighty, let's see here. Not a Spec B. STI. We're going to go a little more newer. A little more modern. Let's say 2020. We'll do that. That says ADM. We want USDM. There's a base map for somebody. Let's go to factory. All right, ignition, compensation, coolant temp. Oh, I don't want ignition. I'm dumb. I wanted fuel, or I wanted boost. Boost control. Wastegate duty, coolant temp. Zeros. Zeros across the board for coolant temp. We go to intake temp, and at low intake temps, it gets really aggressive on 50, really low down here. Now this aggression in this is relatively new. It wasn't always this way. Older years didn't have that. That kind of showed up around the time the FA showed up. But if you go to like 2006, for example, we go stock again. And then we go, whoopsie, boost control, wastegate, coolant temp, 0, still 0 for coolant, intake air temp, 18, not 100. And so this is actually a problem for guys that have the newer STIs and the newer WRX. For some reason, Subaru went to negative 100 over here, which, and, you know, at low temps, very, very aggressively, and they're seeing very low boost numbers in cold weather. And, like, cold weather, that's when the fun's supposed to happen, right? Like, cold weather is when we're supposed to have a really good time. And for some reason, Subaru made it go really, really aggressively. Now, think about this. This is the 06. The 06 is not that different from the 20. The turbo is very slightly different. The engine is very slightly different, right? But the flow rates are all really similar. And the wastegate solenoid is the same. Everything's the same. Why'd they go from 18 to freaking negative 100 right there? All right, let's see. Let's go 2010. 2010 STI. Dual AVCS, right? Just like the 20. Slightly larger turbo than the 2006. And what do we got here? Oops, I did it again. Come on, fingers. Coolant, still 0. Intake. Now I got negative 60. And then we go back to 20 again. 20. Nothing for coolant. Negative 100. Interesting. But that's wastegate duty cycle for intake temp. But for coolant temp, nothing. And so on that guy's tune, I don't know if I did any. Usually I do put some in there to help minimize the chance that it pops. So let's find out if I did or not.
I can't remember every tune, but typically I try and go in there and reduce the time or the wastegate duty cycle when it's cold. 20. Here we go. That's a base map. His name's not James. Well, that's weird. Let's put this by name instead of date. Huh. Did I accidentally put it in Cobb's folder? Maybe I did. Let's see. Cobb 20. Nope. Well, I don't know where the hell it's at. I must put it in somebody else's folder. Interesting. I have a folder called Other Tuners. Let me see that. Huh. Where is that? Oh, here's one that says new folder. Did it get put in there somehow? No. No. Well, shit. I'll have to find that. Did I go 19 on accident? Nope. What's up, honey? What you doing? Gardening? Oh, well. I don't know where it's at. Oh, we can cheat. We can go to Accessport Manager. Search for maps. Go to vehicle. This is one complaint I have about Accessport Manager. There's no rhyme or reason to any of the vehicles over here. Like, there's literally nothing that makes sense. They're not in order. It's not alphabetical. It's not numbered. It's not by make. It is completely freaking random over here. And you just never know, like, oh, I want to find 2010. Well, the thing is they've changed the format for 2010. So 2010 can have 2010 in the front and then say it, and have then USDM, or it can have USDM and then 2010 again. Well, here's an example: USDM 2011 directs STI, 2011 USDM Compressor STI. Now, I didn't make it say that, right? That's the Cobb's format, and so this is just pure chaos over here. I mean, it's like trying to find a paper on my desk, but worse. My wife didn't even laugh.
It's not a lie.
But comedy is often funny because it's true. Let's see. I'm just trying to find a 2020 in here. Oh, we're getting closer. Here's a different format. There we go. A new format.
Oh, people didn't see me.
Did you take some clothes off?
Yeah.
Well, they might have seen you. Yeah, so I don't fucking know where it's at. That is so bad. This is weird too. I got some that say get it done, and some say maximum power and stuff on them still, which is weird. Do I have to like delete this video and bleach everyone's irises now, or not iris, retinas? Well, I can't do it. I can't even critique my own work because I can't find it for some reason. Let's see how many comments have I had about how much of an idiot I am since I started this. Just taking a thing. Nice thicker stash. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I'm way behind. Diet Coke and Mentos. Yep, that'll work. I bet the tuner
Has a son named after you? No, that's a different one, actually, Cody. That is a different place. He didn't. He did not say that. He might operate that way, but he didn't say it. High miles, 260 with a VF39. Good for you. I wonder how big your crack is on your wastegate. Uh, is it like the Grand Canyon of cracks, or is it just like the Columbia Gorge? I'm kind of curious what kind of crack you have in your wastegate. Liquor stash. What'll be tonight? Well, yesterday and the last couple days it was tequila, so I think I'll probably go back to a bourbon or something tonight, maybe. Tore the RA apart and saw everything was basically identical. Yeah, so it really is close. The pistons are very, very, very slightly different. And yeah, Travis, you can eat shit. We're talking physics versus what lying dynos say. And the Jeff Spinagle took one apart and measured everything. There is a very slight difference to the wrist pin boss, and it was like 1/10 of a millimeter thicker ringland. Like, and other than that, it was all the freaking same. All this, got the same stuff as the RA. Oh yeah, that could be too. Like if, oh look at that. There you go. Justin's at the phenomenal thing. Yep. BMX, your Leon. Was that in there? Leon BMX in that? It could be in there. Conspiracy. Can't critique your work if there's no work. I got front horse for my TD4 on pump. So Garris, our old tech fabricator guy, he used to say the easiest way to make more horsepower is to lie about it. So if you want to believe that you got front wheel on a TD4, all you gotta do is lie about it. Stock block, 05 STI, 16G, E40, front mount intercooler, top feed inject 1000, other sporting mods. All right, I'm going to be plain and simple to you. I do not play the wheel horsepower guessing game because every car is different. Like, I don't know, how big are your wheels and tires? Is your alignment straight? What fluids do you use? How many miles are on the car? Are your joints worn out? How about your axles? Are they worn out? All those things bleed power off. If you have big, heavy, fitment static shit on there, you're gonna lose 30 wheel horsepower off that fucking thing just in your suspension setups and your wheels and tire setups. So, yeah, I can't tell you nothing about the car. If I strapped that engine onto an engine only dyno and tuned it, well, the 440 or the 16G XT is what, a 38-pound turbo maybe. So on E40 you're gonna make maybe 400. Like, I don't know. Depends on how much airflow is available, right? How much airflow and how much intercooling is available. The turbo, it has a rating. It has an airflow rating. Don't read the horsepower ratings, the airflow ratings, right? That's where the data is, and you can only get so much above an airflow rating, and that's only due to gains potentially in volumetric efficiency due to a potentially positive pressure ratio across the engine, slightly less engine friction. Things like that that'll help you get a few percent here and there, but you're not getting a magical 50% more than the turbo's rated for. And yes, Mr. Justin said that not all cast pistons are spec'd the same silicon content. That is absolutely true. Hyper-eutectic cast pistons come in various levels, of silicon. The higher the silicon level in the aluminum, the less it expands and contracts with temperature. However, the harder it is, which isn't bad. A hard piston is good because it doesn't deform around the wrist pin. The rings don't eat into the surface of the piston that much. And actually, if you look at most stock pistons have that are cast are still hard anodized on the ringlands. That's what that discoloration is on the side of the piston. You see that different shades of gray. There ain't 50 of them, but the different shades of gray on a piston. That shade of gray around the ringland is a hard anodizing. That makes it darker. It makes it stronger on the surface. It's done so that the ring doesn't wear into the aluminum through its millions of combustion cycles. JE offers that. You can request that. Now, what they do, which I think is kind of weird, is they only do the surface of the actual ringland where the ring rides. They don't do the outer area of it. I wish they did the whole thing kind of like the OEMs did, but they just do the surface of the ringland. And when I was at MPS, my custom pistons contained the hard anodized ringlands. Um, it also has an added benefit of reducing the friction between the ring and the piston as well. I don't know if that necessarily increases power at all, because piston to ring friction isn't a big source of friction, but it does improve or reduce the amount of time it takes for that ring to shift around and find this new seal as it's going up and down in the stroke. Just like if you have gas ports on those rings coming to the top of the piston or to the side, the extra available high pressure gas behind the ring improves the seal by maintaining pressure on the ring against the cylinder wall. Anodizing the ring lands provides a reduction in friction and helps that ring find its place as well. So those pistons, people that have those pistons in motors, are making some fucking power, and they were doing it. They're making more power than people that didn't have that. Those pistons. I had Junior one time send me I don't know if he called me or sent me an email. He said, "Dude, what did you do to these pistons?" He's like, "I've never had an engine produce power so easily and so well as this engine did." And it was one of my custom piston and rod combo engines that had the gas ports, the hard anodized pistons, and my custom dish that isn't on shelf pistons, the custom dish as well. And he was blown away at how good that engine made power, or how easily it made power. So those little things, do make a difference. But again, we're not getting 50% more. We're not getting 500 out of a 300 horsepower turbo. It just doesn't make sense. I really wish I could find that freaking tune. I'm kind of disturbed. But like I said, the Cobb organization on this thing is absolutely atrocious, and you have to do it yourself. And I keep them divided up by year, and I have the customer's name in there and everything. But for some reason, I can't find that map. So I don't know what the hey is going on. I can also search for a vehicle in here, but it's done by the same chaotic nature. So I don't know. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying. I got 30 people here now. What is this day? Say Monday? God, it feels like a Monday. Let's see here. What I think is gonna be. See? Oh, here we go, 2020. What we got? The guy's name was Richard. I was testing his fuel system. Oh, he had an issue with the fuel system, I think, during the tune. I wonder if that's related. Here's his tune. I found it. Where's it located? It's in the 19 folder. Oh. There it is. Cool, let's find out. One-handed. Open. Let's go to 19. That was a later time. 401, that was when he left with. Oh, I did do it. See? I did do it based on coolant temp. 100 when it's really cold. 37% at 104, which was still lowered. Boost tremendously. So I did do what I said I did, or what I usually do. So that wasn't it. Let's see. It's not ridiculous. Barometric. No. Here's something I do that not many people do. Barometric. We're at about 13.6 or so. And so basically I tune it with about 6% extra at our elevation. And then I have it pull 6% when they go down closer to sea level, because turbos make boost a lot easier when you're closer down. So this map is altered from factory, because the factory version of it is kind of weird. I don't even, I think I know why they do it, but I don't want to speculate why they do it. But that's why I do it. I also add a little extra protection to reduce duty cycle a smidge when take temp is high. Only a tiny bit, though. That ain't shit. All right, well, that wasn't it.
Let's see, boost target. I'm only asking 18 pounds on pump gas. What do I got, 21 or something? 20 pounds on ethanol. That ain't bad. Cam timing looks pretty standard. Pretty close to factory. Nothing too crazy on the exhaust. Intake's nice and aggressive. Down low, good torque. Pull it out up top for good top end horsepower. Nothing crazy there. Yeah. Oopsie. I mean, shoot. So my base map goes all the way down to 2. Right there. That ain't much. And then the dynamic on top of that is probably 8 or so. That's one issue, is that the dynamics, okay, so 6. So I did compensate for the guy that drives really hard. And it still blew up. On pump gas, I only had like 9 degrees at peak boost. That's not much timing. So it makes you wonder if something happened. You know, like that is like so stupid conservative. Yeah, most people are running 12 to 14 at peak boost on that car. So I did know that the guy drove hard. I think he told me he drove hard. So yeah, freaking. And here's ethanol. Wait a second. What happened? I just did ethanol. Did I look at the wrong map? Look at it again. Maybe I opened the wrong one. Oh, I did open the wrong one. Okay. So it's got 11 at peak boost. I opened the wrong map. So let me go back to it and show you again. Not know which one I opened, but it was the wrong one. Let's see. Ah. It seems kind of slow, but it's cool. So here it was. So it's 6 on top of that 5 and change. So it's about 11 at peak boost there. And then 12 is slightly less. So a little more aggressive than I thought, but that's not bad. That's with our octane fuel out here, 92. That shouldn't be an issue at all. I accidentally opened the TGV closed map, which is where I saw the 2 instead of the open map. And then on ethanol, it's got quite a bit more than that. On ethanol, I'm running around 15 at peak boost, right there. 16, 15 and a half, 16 in that range at peak boost, which is quite a bit more aggressive, but that's not the Ricky Piston. Not at only 20 psi. Well, I thought it wasn't. Maybe it is. It hasn't been in the past. Whee! Oops, that's the wrong way. You don't want to see what's down there. Or do you? You dirty, dirty girl. Let's see. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure why it took a crap, but it did. So considering that it isn't stupid aggressive, and that it failed when he was on pump gas, I don't think the RA Pistons are all that stronger. I think that that's just more internet speculation, like what everyone said. Oh, the 07 STI turbo is bigger. That was the biggest thing. I'll never forget that. Well, it's got a different ECU, and the turbo's bigger, and that's why the 07 makes more power than the previous years with tuning. That turned out to be completely wrong. The turbo was exactly the same, flow rate-wise. It had different housings. They were reinforced because the 39 had cracking issues, and they changed the compressor housing to put a boss on the side of it for the oil feed line. That was it. Otherwise, same turbo, same center section, same flow rate, same fucking everything. But internet speculation for about 2 years at least was that the 07 STI, the VF43, had more flow than the VF39, and it was not true.
Do you know why the 07 STI seemed to make more power with tuning than the other cars did? Because the TGVs were the new design and the TGVs were less restrictive than the previous years. That's it. But that wasn't in the conversation. It was, oh, it's got a bigger turbo. Oh, the ECU's different, which was true. The ECU was different. It was programmed in such a way that allowed you to blow the engine up even easier because they were stacking more time maps on top of each other. And that was new to Subarus. Usually it was just the dynamic advanced map times the dam plus your base. Now what they did is they had multiple advanced maps that were being additive based on various other parameters that came in, similar to a dam, more like a short-term fuel trim kind of thing. And it was creating layers of maps that would just add a bunch of timing. And so Cobb and some of their stuff was like, no, we'll just reduce that back down to be more like what everyone's used to. And a lot of guys don't know that about with Cobb. They do a lot of stuff like that, that small quality of life things where they reduce the amount of maps that are active all the time. Ignition maps, they do these tiny little rewrites in the code to make it easier to tune, safer for you, and easier for us, which means if it's easier for us, it's less time, it's less money for you guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. They also do things like wastegate alternate wastegate duty cycle fixes and all kinds of other things like that. And a lot of guys don't realize they go in there and write those things in with their coding. So they do a lot of stuff for you guys that you guys don't even know. And they call tuners sometimes. They say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Or they say, have you had any problems with this? Or when tuners call them and say, I have a problem with this, they actually freaking listen, usually. So I don't know why Cobb gets so much hate. I had some guys say, well, I just want Cobb to be I don't want them to be the best on the market. I don't want them to dominate the market. I was like, well, they offer the best product. Maybe when they stop offering the best product, they won't dominate the market. I mean, I don't know. Yes. So anyways, I'm not sure what else to say today. Just that you're not getting 450 wheel horsepower on the stock turbo. I don't care what the fuck you're doing without nitrous or some additional power adder. It ain't happening. That defies the laws of physics. Oh, I should show you a compressor map. That was part of our discussion, actually, was a compressor map. And if you don't know what a compressor map is, that's probably time you learned. So a compressor map, which I do show in my Comparing Turbos video, I have one. It's called Comparing Turbos, Part 1 and Part 2, here on YouTube, where I go through and I show you guys how a compressor map works and everything. So I'm not going to be as informative today about the turbo stuff. I'm just going to show you. So the exact compressor map available for the turbo that's on the WRX is not, well, we believe it's not shown. So they call it the MT2259S. Well, the compressor map for the GT2259 is available. But that map shows the turbo flowing, I think, a maximum of, I think it's 30 pounds, or maybe it's 28 pounds. I'll show you that. Then the one above it, the 2260, or the 2560, I'm sorry, shows it throwing a max of like 330 or 340 or something. So we know that the turbo, the flow rate of the compressor has to be somewhere between those two, right? It's not a billet wheel, so it doesn't have some crazy arrow on it, right? It's a cast impeller wheel, and there are limits to the blade geometry that you can do in a casting. If it was a machined or a billet wheel, that's different. You can do different types of arrows. You're not limited to what's called draw. I don't know if you know anything about like casting things, right? You have to be able to get the mold off of it, right? Have to get it out of the mold, or you got to break it or something. So you need to have a draft and draw, which is basically means that if I had like a square box, I did a mold of that, it's difficult to get the mold out from around it because the walls are completely flat. But if I had some draft to it and I had a little bit of tilt to it, then once you break the initial seal, the mold comes off easily, right? So it's the same thing when you're casting other stuff. Let's see, that's MSI stuff. I was doing some SolidWorks today for a friend, and then another friend I was helping with his computer. It's got a bunch of motherboard errors. But okay, so let's do this. GT2259. Is this the one? Here's a compressor map. So here's a 2259. Now again,
The FA is a 2259, and I forget which guy it was on my channel that showed me this map or found it for me. Let's see if I can get this bigger for you guys. So 2259 here at full tilt. It's looking like it's not quite 30 pounds, 29. And at that point, we're out here past 65% efficient. So it's not even efficient. It's blowing hot air, which we know is happening. So here's an actual 2259 compressor map showing us not even a full 30 pounds. Now, standard convention is that 10 pounds per minute is 100 horsepower. So it'd be 300 horsepower. That's crankshaft. Now, modern engines have become more efficient, and what you've seen, maybe you've seen if you haven't noticed, modern turbos now have these higher horsepower ratings than they used to for the same pound per minute flow rate. Some of that, I think, is dyno fuckery has caused issues, and other other turbo companies have raised their horsepower ratings on the turbos to compensate for that. And then these other turbo companies have to do the same, otherwise their turbo appears to be smaller than this other turbo that's claiming more power. So once again, dyno fuckery seems to be affecting the aftermarket in a negative way. But regardless of that, we'll say it's a little more than 10. It's still, you're not making 450 horsepower at the wheels, right? Because these cars have about 23 to 25% drivetrain loss, whether it's in WRX STI, WRX less, STI more. And so you would have to, for 450 wheel, just do math. Let's just do that. 450 divided by 0.75 means 600. Means that I'm making 600 horsepower at the crankshaft with a 30-pound turbo to make 450 wheel. That's fucking bullshit. Let's say it's only 22%. So we'll divide that by 78 for 22%. That is 577 horsepower at the crankshaft on a 30 pound per minute turbo. Not even 30 if it's this graph, 2259. If it's that graph, not even 30. You're telling me that you're somehow getting 200 horsepower per 10 pounds? No, that's not fucking happening. That's not how physics works. Like, no one's found some magic special sauce. I'm sorry, but if you say your car made 452 wheel horsepower on this turbo, you're a fucking liar, or you don't understand what's wrong with your dyno. That's all there is to it. But let's say, you know what? Maybe Garrett gave Subaru a 60. Maybe they gave him a 60. Maybe it's just a little bit bigger, and it's flowing a little bit more. I don't think they make 2260 anymore. I think they make 2560. Now that would be a significant flow upgrade, because the 25 would be a bigger turbine housing. It would flow a lot more, and it would here we go. You'd have less back pressure on it, so you give even more flow out of it. Horsepower rating 270. The 2560 now. Compressor map view. Oh, this thing gets right about 35. So now we're talking maybe our 35-pound turbo. Maybe. Again, this is a 60 mil, not a 59 mil like the WRX turbo. It's bigger. Bigger wheel means more flow, generally speaking. And here we got barely over 35. And again, this is the 60% efficiency line here. So this line has got to be 50-something% efficient. Really, really, really bad. That means your back pressure is through the roof. You're not making power up here. Like, this area will not produce horsepower. And that is why Garrett said this turbo is rated for 270. Because at 32 pounds, at 14 pounds of boost, 32 pounds of airflow, at 14 psi on the engine, you're already down at 65 to 68% efficiency, like really, really low efficiency rating, which is going to create tons of heat and tons of back pressure, and you're not going to make a lot of power. So again, I don't know how else I can reinforce this. You're not making 452 wheel horsepower on a stock VA, FA turbo. Just ain't happening. No es posible. It's bullshit. I don't know how many other ways to say it. Well, I hope that you found this educational, if not comical. And maybe you think your car does make that, and you said, you know what, I could use $100. Bring your car to me. Bring your car to me. Put it on Tier 1's dyno. If it makes within 10%, I'm giving you $100. So to understand, if you're claiming your car makes 452, 10% of that is 45.2, right? So that means your car only has to make, whoops, I went the wrong way. 452 times 0.9. Your car only has to make 407 wheel horsepower, and I'm giving you $100. But your car's not going to make 407 because it ain't fucking possible. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope that you guys had a good time. Please check out the Discord channel. I have the subscription service on there. You can come in, you can shoot the shit with me, play video games with me. You can ask about tuning stuff. You can tell me to kiss your ass. Do whatever you want. It's your fucking money. And there's a free section, there's a pay section. The pay section does not, you don't get extra access to me to the pay section except for the tuning lessons part of it and the physics lessons and that kind of stuff. Otherwise, shooting the shit, gaming, general motorsports stuff, general engine building stuff, that's all in the free section. So you can just come in, tell me to fuck off, and then split. Or come in, make some new friends, learn something valuable, and just have a good time. I prefer you guys at that. But you know what? I tell people to fuck off all the time. So if you want to do the same, I totally get it. So until then, I'm going to go fuck off.